At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Northwest Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 479-203-5880, or visit our website at directservicenwa.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, 3, 2, 1, yo! What's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Welcome to Hogville Net Live. It's your Thursday preview. Arkansas on the road against Auburn. Alongside me for the second week in a row, Otis Dadgum Kirk. How you doing, Otis?
Hey, man, dadgummit, I'm doing good. No, I'm here. I'm doing good. It's been long 2 weeks without a game, man. So now we're getting ready to have something to talk about after Saturdays. Well, we have, but I had plenty to talk about during the bye week. People getting healthy. I think that's the biggest thing.
Gosh.
Obviously, I know we'll probably talk about that, but
yeah, I got a list here of questions and some stuff to go through. First off, shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the show's sponsor. That's again, it's Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. They offer free estimates, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results, hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you guys know anybody or you yourself need some garage door repair work done, give them a call today at 501-244-3667. Again, that's 501-244-3667. Don't let that 501 area code scare you off. They work basically wherever there's a garage door in the state of Arkansas, at least from Central all the way up to NWA, they got you covered. All right. First off, well, I just got to ask you, what'd you do during the bye week? I know you wrote. I know you worked your rear end off, but did you do anything fun?
No. No. Let's see. No, we went to Ashdown to see Shamar Easter. That was fun, but
yeah,
not a whole lot. I mean, I watched the Ole Miss LSU game. I watched bits and pieces of various games. Obviously, not a bunch of games. So, no, not really. I didn't. I hung out pretty close to home here and just kind of chilled, kind of resting up for this final stretch. I'm actually anxious to get back to football because, I mean, they haven't been home since October the 1st, and they won't be home till November, whatever that Liberty game is. Whatever date that is. I think it's the 5th. That's Saturday anyway. So kind of, it's 3:00 kickoff. That'll be a later kickoff in the day. We got 11 o'clock this Saturday.
Yeah.
So
well, I did go. The only thing I did, I'm like you. I didn't go too far away from home. I did go to the Fayetteville Springdale game inside Razorback Reynolds Stadium, Reynolds Razorback Stadium, however you want to put it, the place where the Hogs play.
I did go watch Northside. I forgot about that. North Little Rock and Quincy Roads. They played Northside. I did go to that Friday night down in Fort Smith. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I did go see Quincy Roads. So
perfect segue. What did you think? Because I'm pretty high on him. I like Quincy Roads quite a bit.
Yeah, I like him. He's a big kid. I've seen him before, but he is a big kid. He can rush the passer. He had a weird quote. He said he's still solid to Arkansas, but keeping his options open, whatever. But honestly, I'm not sure that's not about every kid in America right now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he didn't sound like somebody that's not going to sign with Arkansas. I'll be honest with you. I know that quote freaked some people out. I got text about it and stuff. And he said it, and I actually debated whether to put that in the story or not. But I mean, hey man, the kids, I even went back and asked him after he said that, I go back and ask him, is there any particular schools, and he didn't name any schools. So, I mean, I didn't get the feeling that he's not coming to Arkansas. I think like I said, I'm not sure that most kids in America right now are not committed and are solid in their mind, but I think everybody's keeping their options open. It's just this stuff changes, man. Used to kids would not commit early. Nobody committed early. If they got a commitment in September, I'm talking about when I first started this stuff. It was unusual. It was news if somebody committed in September. Now here it is nearly the 1st of November, and they've been full for. I mean, they haven't had a commitment in 2 or 3 months. I mean, it's been forever. It makes it tough on recruiting. It's really busy during the summer, but in the early spring, late spring and early summer or summer, it stays pretty busy, and then after that, it just gets to a crawl. I mean, you can talk about 2024 kids, but I mean, you're still talking about 2023. Are they solid? So
I think this is. You and I have talked about this a little bit before, but I kind of feel like this is the new normal where these kids, like you said, it didn't used to be where they commit really early. And I think that's the staff pushing this. And now they can move on to the portal. Now they can get ready and arm up for the portal.
Yeah, I think Arkansas, that's what they're doing. And they're looking at a few more defensive. I asked Sam at the press conference a week or two ago if he was still considering anyone for 2023. I don't know if we talked about this last week or not, but he said, yeah. I mean, he said there's a few kids out there, but that's about right there. But he said, yeah. I mean, so I don't think they're finished with high school kids. I think they're virtually finished, if that makes sense. Well, I'm saying virtually. I think they might take a couple more kids if they get the right ones. I've seen some defensive linemen being offered. We talked about the JUCO kid last week. I think that's the biggest name. Then there's a kid that's committed to other places that's looking around. But I think, the portal is going to be interesting, not just from who Arkansas gets, but who does Arkansas lose. It works both ways. Yeah. And people are going to freak out when the kids start going in the transfer portal. And then they're going to start celebrating when they say who Arkansas gets. Like I told people before, I had when Joe Fauché and Greg Brooks left, I had people freaking out, man. I don't know why, but they were messaging me telling me they're going to drop their season tickets and all this stuff. And it's like,
well, to be fair, secondary has been pretty bad.
Yeah, but they didn't drop their season ticket. But I mean, if you're going to drop a season ticket, drop them. It doesn't come out of my pocket.
I've never understood that. I've never understood. I've heard people say this over coordinator changes before. Like, oh well, so like I don't understand that. Like, obviously you bought the tickets. Are you telling me you bought the tickets only for the coordinator or for the player? I kind of thought it was for the whole team. I could understand if it was like like what's going on at a couple schools right now that Arkansas has already played one and is about to play the next one, Auburn and Texas A&M. I can understand that.
Auburn's lost more kids this week to the portal than the games they've won. Here's what I tell people, Ty, and this is and it's hard. I know you're a huge fan, and I freak out about the Lakers. I get on there and raise Cain on Twitter. So I get it. I get it completely. But here's what I tell people about the portal. You've got to take the big picture. You can't live in the microwave deal where what happened today. The portal is going to take some players. It's not just going to be players you want to leave either. There's going to be some like Joe Fauché, Greg Brooks, Vito Calvaruso. There's going to be some good players enter the portal that you don't want to. And there's going to be some that are going to leave because they're not playing at Arkansas and they're not going to get to play. And it's the same everywhere else. But you got to remember, while they're losing players, eventually they're going to get players too. Sam Pittman has proved. I mean, he's gotten guys like Drew Sanders, Felipe Franks, Jordan Dominic, Latavius Brenny. I mean, we could go on and on about the players they've got out of the portal. Tykees Crawford. I mean, they're going to get good players. Pittman's going to do, and his staff's going to do that. And they're going to lose some players. Like I said, they're going to lose some now at the end of this year that you don't want to lose. The fans don't want to leave. And I'm not talking about any particular kid. I don't have any inkling on. I'm not sitting there keeping a secret saying this kid is going to leave. I'm just saying I know some players that you don't want to leave will leave. It happens.
You have the recipe to the secret sauce. You've got the keys.
I just know people are going to freak out. It happens every year. They message me. They freak out, and then
Mike Woods. You remember when Mike Woods he hit the portal and went to Oklahoma? I mean, I know we can.
I knew where he was going. I knew where Mike was going, and Arkansas paid them back with Jaden Hazelwood. That had nothing to do with that coach leaving at OU. they were getting Hazelwood. That was paybacks for Mike Woods. I can assure you of that. I've got good emphasis on that was a payback.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they love Hazelwood and they wanted him, but once OU pulled that with Mike Woods, Arkansas was going after Jaden Hazelwood. They had an inside with Jimmy Smith and, Kendall Browse and Kenny Guyton and all those guys and Sam Pittman. They went after Hazelwood hard, and they were going to get him, and they were going to get him even if the coaches stayed at OU.
You guys make sure you like, share, subscribe. Wander on over to hogville.net for the for free content from Otis Kirk, Dudley Dawson, Kevin McPherson. These guys are the best in the business, and they've got years of experience between the three of them, and know what they're doing, know what they're talking about. So make sure you get on over to hogville.net. It's all free. The board is free. The content, all of it's free. This is obviously free. So you guys make sure you go over there. And then if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. What really matters to you guys is sharing the content, by the way. Sharing the content is huge. That's how this thing grows. And make sure you like and interact too. If you guys have any questions or comments, fire away. I'll shoot them. We'll throw them up on the screen for you like we've done with Austin here. So if you guys have any questions or comments, fire away. All right.
That's one where you put 100 by what Austin just sent us. The portal giveth and the portal taketh. You do on Twitter, you put the 100 up there. That's what I'd put for that comment.
Yeah.
That 100.
What really fast, some updates here, some recruiting updates. Walker White, 2024 4-star quarterback. Some people think will probably get bumped up to a 5th star. I mean, that's always speculation, but 2024 kid out of Little Rock Christian. He was officially offered yesterday by Alabama, Otis.
Yeah. He's got offers.
Blowing up.
He's got offers to everybody just about, and the ones that haven't offered probably will be. This is a kid that's got family. His dad was a golfer at Arkansas. He's had several brothers that played football. He had a brother that played football here. Grandfather played. He's had a lot of relatives play football. Had a brother played baseball here. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. A lot of speculation on Ole Miss. I think, we got to remember, it's 14, 15 months till these kids sign with somebody.
Yeah.
It's easy to say he's going to Ole Miss right now. I'm not saying that people are, but we'll see what happens. I mean, nobody thought ahead of time that Isaiah Satana was coming to Arkansas, and he did. So when the in-state pressure starts mounting for these kids to stay home, and they're out looking around right now, they all do that. But we'll see. And I'm not saying he's coming to Arkansas. I don't know where. Walker doesn't know where he's going, so obviously I don't know where he's going. Yeah. But I'm just saying I'm not sure that. I have people freaking out messaging me that he's locked for Ole Miss, and he's not locked for anywhere.
Yeah, I think to say that about a 2024 prospect is wild. To say that anybody's a lock anywhere is wild. I see that in our Tuss Talk Discord. I see it on Twitter, Facebook. It's like, hold on, pump the brakes. You're talking 2024. Well, Isaiah Centennial committed to 3 different schools.
Yeah,
A&M, Oregon, and then Arkansas.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You don't. This in-state stuff, Sam and them will put the pressure on them when the time comes. They're not going to start it 15 months ahead of time. And I mean, if they get Walker, they get him. If they don't, they'll find a quarterback somewhere else. I mean, you want the in-state kids to stay home. And what happens if somebody makes a crystal ball pick or something for these kids, then everybody freaks out. And I remember everybody freaks out. And Steve Wilkphone was very good to me when I was at 24/7. Well, I'm not trashing the guy, but I do know when Hudson Henry visited Notre Dame before the season during the summer, Wilkphone put in a crystal ball for him and had quotes saying he wanted to be different from his brothers and stuff. And everybody freaked out. And I said, guys, Hudson Henry is not going to Notre Dame. Wilkphone, look at his percentage and look at yours. I said, I don't care if his percentage is 1 million and mine is 0. Hudson Henry will not go to Ole Miss. And, I just
Notre Dame.
People put those crystal ball picks in, and if they've had success, all I told them is look at Wilkphone's predictions when he does this early, as opposed to two hours before the kid announces. When he knows where the kid's going, he puts in a crystal ball pick, which is not what the purpose of the service was. Of course, his percentage is high when you do that. I didn't do that.
Right.
You know, and I mean,
Well,
I'm not dogging Steve. If that's the way the system works, that's fine. He was good.
Yeah.
He was very good to me, and he's very good at what he does. But I'm just telling you, he put in a pick for Hudson Henry back months before his senior season started, and Hudson Henry was never going to Notre Dame. It just wasn't going to happen, and I knew that.
So let's move on really quick. We'll try our best to keep this around 30 to 40 minutes. Really fast. Texas A&M, they're losing players. I'm sure you've been asked this. I've been asked this. Are there any odds at all that Arkansas goes after these kids that have been dismissed? I personally have a hard time seeing it, but then again, I haven't talked with anybody. I haven't talked with you about this. But every one of these kids were offered by Arkansas. Every one of them. PJ Williams. I'm sorry. I have people up in my roof. They're fixing and repairing our roof. So if you're hearing noise, I apologize. We have painters over and everything. PJ Williams, 4-star offensive tackle out of Dickinson, Texas. Denver Harris, 5-star corner. He's out of Houston. He was recruited by Sam Carter. Yeah. Chris Marshall, 5-star wide receiver, recruited by Kenny Guyton. LJ Johnson, 4-star running back out of Cyprus. I think that's right. Recruited by Jimmy Smith. So do you think they have any shot at all? Are they going to go after these kids? Do you have a hunch?
I think I think they could, but I don't think they will a running back because they're pretty content only taking the kid from Florida in this class, the high school kid. But I tell you what, I think they will do. There's a defensive lineman, and I don't remember his name. Went there from Auburn recently, Ty, in the past week or so. It was almost a 5-star out of high school, and I think that's a kid. But yeah, I could see him. When there's cornerbacks, you say 5-star cornerback. When you hear cornerback, and you watch Arkansas play, I think they've got to look at some of these kids. Now I know Sam Carter had a strong base in Houston where he recruited, and I'm sure he'll go after the kid at Ole Miss. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think there's some chance that they could go after some of those. I think they will go after some of those kids from Auburn and possibly some of those kids from A&M. That NIL deal with A&M, man, that was, I don't know how much you get involved with some of that, with some of those kids, because there's so much. It's not just talent-wise. Yes, they could take those kids. I mean, they'd love to have some of those kids, but, man, you got to look at, you recruit your own problems. I'm not a Bielema fan, but he F.A. Dry told him that, and that is 100% true. You recruit your own problems, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And they found themselves in a bit of an issue his last couple of years at Arkansas. So you're absolutely right. And a lot of that went back to recruiting. And, so, all right. And I was going to bring up the Auburn kids. I just didn't have the list of names yet. But Auburn also, the portal's going to be extremely active. And looking forward to that.
There's a big defensive tackle, Ty. He left, and it's real funny name, and I can't for the life of me. I've got it written down here somewhere, but I'm sure I've got pretty good insight that Arkansas is definitely going to make a move on him. Whether they'll get him or not is a different story, but Arkansas is going to make a move on him. He's a very good player.
Switching back now that we're well, we have a question about the portal, actually. Any good leads on defensive backs from the portal from Dan Tanner?
Well, they're still waiting to see who goes in there right now. I mean, technically they can't even go in there until December the 5th, I believe the date is. They can't even go
early December.
To December 5th. So right now it's too premature. What Arkansas is doing right now, they're looking at what they have, and they're making a list. Okay, we want X number of corners. We want X number of safeties. We want X number of linebackers. And a lot of this, too, is going to depend on, does Drew Sanders go to the NFL? Does KJ Jefferson go to the NFL? Does Ricky Stromberg? I mean, there's so much that goes into that. It's not like right now there's a list of names out there. I mentioned the Auburn kid because I know for a fact that's somebody they're probably going to move on, or have moved on maybe. But technically, they don't even go in there until December the 5th. So it's too early say they've got a list of names, but what they have is an ideal. They're getting an ideal, and this will fluctuate with the 5 games left. How many numbers they want at each position? I can assure you. I asked Sam the other day, "Are you going to try to restock the defense through the portal?" And he said, "I'd be a fool not to," or something like that.
Right.
I specifically asked Sam that question, so I know defense, probably all of it, linebacker, because you're losing Bumper, you'll probably lose Drew Sanders. The defensive line, they do that every year with the portal. The secondary, we've seen the secondary. So they're going to hit hard on defense. I can tell you, Dan, that they're going to hit hard on defense. And I think on offense, it won't be as near as much because you've got 3 high school tight ends. It depends on KJ there, whether, there's a lot of factors there. I don't see I think probably wide receiver, maybe Ty. But other than that, maybe Cody Kennedy really doesn't like to recruit out of the portal. He's trying to develop high school offensive linemen and keep them in the program and build the offensive line that way. I'm not saying he doesn't like the portal. They took Tykees Crawford. I'm just saying you're not going to see big numbers there. He might take a kid, though. But quarterback, if KJ left, possibly wide receiver and offensive line would be where you'd look at on offense. So they're not going to take a running back.
Do you know? So when can they actually talk with these kids in the portal? This is something I've gotten mixed responses on this. Can they talk to them? I know they can't talk to them during the season, right? They cannot talk to them.
You got to get the release from the schools, but once you go in the portal, once they go in the portal, you can talk to them. But like I said, right now with technicality, you can't go in the portal yet. But December the 5th, they'll be able to start talking to these kids. Now, I'm not saying there's not wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's talk to these kids. I'm sure that's going on. We know it did. Mike Woods got recruited right off the campus here. So, but that's
true. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
before he was even in the portal. So I'm kidding. Don't go run into some OU board saying that those guys over at Hogville said this or that. That's a joke. Sort of. I think that the like someone said, the portal giveth and the portal taketh. I think it's going to be it's fascinating to see kind of how this thing. It changes every other week. It feels like we're getting these guys over at Auburn are going to leave. They're in the portal, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. And the question's always naturally, then who are the vultures that are going to come pick that apart? And Arkansas hopefully is one of them. Arkansas needs to. Zacchaeus Walker, was that the kid you were talking about earlier?
Yeah,
John
that's
Everett.
Exactly who it is. That's exactly who it is. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. That's
Austin wants to know, and we're going to get into the Auburn breakdown here in just a minute. Really quick, so since we don't know about the portal, what about JUCO?
Yeah, well, we had the kid that I wrote about, 2 weeks ago that they offered on Tuesday or Wednesday, the kid from Hines. He started at A&M. Derek.
I had it right here. Derek Hunter
Jr. started his career at A&M, defensive tackle, defensive lineman. That's the one kid. They're not going to hit JUCO very hard, I can tell you, Austin. They're not going to hit it very hard. But Derek Hunter is a kid that Derek is somebody that played at Hines. They watched his film. They loved him. And he has SEC experience. What happened at A&M with him was after he played a defensive line, and then last season they moved him to the offensive line. And he said, no, I'm out of here, And so he flew to.
So he wants to play DL. He wants to play.
He wants to play DL, and Arkansas is very willing to give him the opportunity. They think he can play it and play it very well. And
We'll get to that stuff here in a minute, talking about Dominic Johnson. All right, let's get to Auburn, Otis. What a lot of people are here for. And they're here for all of it because this is all good, solid information that you guys are getting for free. I know someone's going to complain, but you know what? Deal with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the whole damn show. All right, Arkansas versus Auburn. First off, the question I have is we heard Sam Pittman not long ago talk about Samuel Bakke or Quincy McAdoo and Bakke playing after the bye week. You think there's a shot we see them in some capacity in the secondary this weekend? I know they moved Bakke to safety, and then they had him working out at corner.
I think he got beat up a little bit. I think he may be a little injured right now. He's got some kind of dinged up injury. I saw it But McAdoo is a kid that I wondered about when they moved Sam Bakke over there. I wondered about McAdoo. He went and asked him because I saw him play in high school. Sam hadn't played defensive back since the 9th grade. Quincy played it in high school and was one heck of a. He returned a fumble, 88 yards for a touchdown, picked off passes. That kid played defensive back. I mean, he's a stud wide receiver, but he was just as good as. He's kind of like Micah T's. Stud wide receiver, but just as good on defense. That's the same way Quincy. Yeah, that's the same way Quincy McAdoo was. He was very good on offense. I thought he was about as good as Isaiah, but he was also just as good on defense. So McAdoo, I wondered about that move.
McAdoo had offers to play DB.
He's very good there. And it would not surprise. Sam was asked that this week, and his response was, "I hope so." What he was asked is Quincy close enough to play? Is he very close to contributing right now? And Sam's answer was, "I hope so." And then he went into some other stuff. I think I've had that story somewhere, but yeah, I mean, it would not surprise me at all to see McAdoo play. I don't know about Bakke because I've never. I mean, he hadn't played since the 9th grade, but Quincy to me was just as good on defense as he was on offense in high school, and I thought he was a stud at receiver. So that's a compliment to him, and it would not surprise me to see him start getting some action, you know.
The Bakke move was weird to me. M'Bakke, that move is weird. I know I realize he played it in 9th grade, and I saw.
I think they liked what he did on special teams. He was aggressive on special teams, going down and hitting people. I think that's where that move came from. Was his play, his aggressiveness on special teams, and they thought that translated to defensive back. But to me, McAdoo was the one that made so much sense because if he's not going to play receiver this year, then put him over there because, I mean, he's got a chance to help him. I mean, whether he plays against Auburn, I don't know, but he will help them before the season's over. If he doesn't, I'd be very surprised.
Well, keep in mind, everybody who's asking about that, if these guys play and then they play from here on out, they burn their red shirts because it's a 4-game red shirt rule. You will burn your red shirt if you play from here on out. So I've been asked this plenty about these guys playing, and I realized Pittman said that a couple of weeks back, but I know too he wants to keep the red shirts on these kids, and the same thing could be said about Isaiah Centenia, and there's several others.
His ankle's a lot better too. Isaiah's.
Say that again. What was that?
His ankle is a lot better than it was. Yeah. He's getting close to it.
I saw him.
The last thing you want to do is play a kid 3 or 4 plays in the secondary and burn his red shirt year for 3 or 4 plays. If he's going to contribute, then let him play. But if he's not, then you got to keep him at 4 games. You've got to do that.
Yeah. Thoughts? This was a question from the Tuss Talk with Ty Discord. Thoughts on the Harsin situation, and will all the buzz around that situation give us a competitive edge, or is Auburn backed into a corner and they use that to their advantage? So do you think Harsin, I mean, he's backed into a corner. How does this work out for Arkansas? Does it work against? Because there's going to be a lot of pressure on Auburn. How do you see that playing out? Well,
if players were rallying around him, but instead you're having more lead than the games they've won. I mean, the way kids are exiting there, it doesn't appear to me the kids are rallying around him. When a coach is in the hot seat and kids rally around him, that's when it's a dangerous opponent. It's just like Chad Morris. I mean, everybody knew he was on the hot seat. Western Kentucky comes in here with Ty Story, and I think some people actually enjoy. Well, I know a lot of people actually enjoyed watching Ty Story in Western Kentucky kick his butt because they knew that was the final nail in the coffin. And so I haven't seen the support for Harsin down there. I think Harson's a pretty good coach myself. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think if I'm him and I can get the Arizona State job, I would quit tomorrow and I would leave and give them the number 1 sign with both hands. I mean, I'm telling you, I think Auburn, they were never happy with a coach. I mean, Gus Malzahn is a good coach, got fired. Tommy Tuberville, I don't like him, but he was a good coach, got fired. Bowden got fired. They fire everybody down there. They're never happy. And whoever they hire next eventually will be fired, and you had Tuberville beat Alabama several years in a row, loses to them one time, they fire him, So
they went undefeated They went undefeated that year. They beat Tennessee in the SEC championship.
Yeah,
and they
there was 3 undefeated teams. And they got left out of the championship game,
out.
and that's why you don't want to just have a 2-game playoff with just 2 teams. You don't want to have that because they deserve to be in there just as much as the other teams. Well, when you go undefeated in the SEC, you probably deserve it a lot more, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and say Auburn deserved as much as Sam. They probably deserved it more because if you're undefeated in the SEC, you should get a chance to play for the national championship. I don't care if it's Auburn. I don't care if it's Vanderbilt, Arkansas, or who it is. The SEC is brutal.
Yeah, it is. Even then it was. I know then the disparity between the conferences isn't what it is now or what it's been for the last decade or so, but they should have been in. I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts? This again was another Tuss Talk with Tide Discord question. Thoughts on KJ's comments? This game is personal. And I don't know what he says. Does he?
Yeah, there was 2 things with that. One, he didn't play well against them last year by his standards, Ty, and then also talked about the 2020 call that when everybody knows. When speaking of Joe Fauché earlier, when Joe fell on that fumble, which it was a backward spike, which is a fumble.
Yeah.
And Joe fell on the ball, and the ref said that it was an incomplete, just a spike, and that no one was going. And they tried to lie even more to cover up their lie. They said nobody went after the ball. Joe Fauché was laying on the ball. I mean, he was laying on the dang ball. And what I understood from KJ was because he didn't feel like he played. Sam even commented that, in fact, the story I wrote this morning, Sam said that he didn't think KJ played very well against Auburn last year. And then KJ is wanting to make up for that, kind of taking it personal. But KJ has talked, and some other players talked about that call. I mean, everybody knows that was a bad call. I mean, it cost Arkansas. I hear people all the time, well, the refs didn't cost them the game. They did that day. Day. Most time, if they rule that a fumble and Joe Fauché gets the recovery, that game's over. They have no chance to kick that late field goal. That game's over. They cost Arkansas the game that day. Now, I admit most times it doesn't cost Arkansas. I mean, any team a game, one call does it. But that one call cost Arkansas the game.
Yeah, I mean, it quite literally cost them. Yeah. So what does Arkansas need to do against Auburn? I know they practiced this week during fastball. They practiced with a 3-man front, Otis. I don't think anyone saw them run a 4-front this week. I realize that's, kind of a generic question because it's a different opponent. But what are they? Do you expect to see 4-man front? Is that the only way you think they can really contain Auburn's offense?
Well, I mean, they've just done. You're getting your defensive backs back. I mean, I think you've got to do some. I think you look. Their quarterback's been sacked, I believe, 10 times, if not, it's 11 times. Finley was sacked 6 before he went out. So obviously their offensive line is beat up and not very good, and you can get to them. You've got to put some pressure on Robbie Ashford. You got to. I mean, and there's no reason they can't. Everybody else has gotten to them. So this is a game where Arkansas, and I just don't think you can get pressure with it. I asked Deke Adams about it. The one time we got to talk to Deke in preseason, I asked him about the 3-man front, how hard it is to get a pass rush, and he was honest, man. He said it's brutal. You got 3 going against 5 or 6 people. So I think Arkansas's got to pressure Ashford. I think they can. Like I said, they've got a bunch of sacks. The quarterbacks have been hit. They've been beat up. Auburn's strength is probably their running game. You've got Tank Bigsby, you've got Ashford, who I talked about, the quarterback, and then you've got Jarquez Hunter. So you've got 3 people. Ashford is actually their second leading rusher for the season. He's got 310 yards. Bigsby's got 524. Hunter's got 239. I'm looking at. I've got this written down over here. I'm not that smart to remember all that, but no, I mean Bigsby. Auburn wants to run the ball, and if in the 5 people in the box, they'll probably have some success doing that. But Arkansas, I think, has got to at least. I don't think they're going to go straight 4-man front, Ty, but I think you've got to mix it up. If you're going to run that 3-man front, then you better bring pressure. What I mean, from hide pressure and bring it. I mean, disguise it and then bring them. Have somebody blitz or something, because you can't just sit back in a 5-man in the box, 3-man front, 2 linebackers, and just let Auburn run up and down the field like they did Mississippi State, and the quarterback have all night to pass. They mixed it up some at BYU, the first half particularly, and I thought they had some success doing that. Then they started getting the pass interference calls, and Malik Chavis went down. So then Sam goes to the 3-man front. I don't care if they run for 1,000 yards. Well, you can't let Auburn just sit there and run, and the quarterback never get pressured. That was their recipe at Mississippi State, and we know how that was. What happened there? That was a disaster. That's what they did at Mississippi State. They went to 5 people in the box, 3-man front, 5 in the box, no pressure on the quarterback. He picked them apart, and you can't do that. They can't let Ashford do that. He's not that. He has 4 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions, Ty.
Yeah.
He has more interceptions than he does touchdown passes.
Auburn grades out. I don't know if you pay much attention to Pro Football Focus or not, but offensively they grade out like the worst offense in the SEC, or at least they did a few days ago. I think when I last looked, I had it posted in our Discord, but their offense is bad. They only average about 377 total yards. Arkansas averages more than 111 yards a game.
They're averaging 22.3 points a game, too. So, I mean, that's not very many in this day and age of offense.
Terrible.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, 377.7 offense, total offense, and 22.3 points per game. And I do pay attention to all that. And they're this is a chance. And like I said, their quarterbacks have been banged, man. I mean, Asher's been sacked 10 or 11 times. I'm sorry, I don't have that right in front of me, but it's either 10 or 11. And Finley got sacked 6 times before he got out there. Yeah. So I mean, it's that's a lot of sacks to give up. I mean, KJ wasn't sacked at all against BYU, although at one time that was to his credit, not the offensive line, when he broke 3 tackles. But
do you know the last time Arkansas was favored on the road against Auburn?
On the road? No, I don't know the last time. Probably when Bobby Petrino was here, or John L. maybe.
No, 1998.
Are you serious?
1998 was the last time. It was either 98 or 99. Whatever year they were on the road, I can't remember, but I heard them say that this morning on the radio. Josh Bernicini said that this morning.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
I know Arkansas was favored last year. Of course, that game was not on the road.
It was in Fayetteville, yeah.
Yeah, that's a team that's kind of had the Arkansas. Them and A&M have had. I mean, obviously Alabama, but A&M and Auburn have had Arkansas's number, and I don't think they were that much better. Alabama's been better than Arkansas. I mean, they just have. Yeah. Auburn and A&M.
It's just no excuse.
Yeah, and that's what you got to count on. Is what John's saying about it'll be a different game with Arkansas's healthier secondary. You would hope so. If you've got Slusher, you got both Johnsons, and you've got Chavis back, and you've got McLaughlin, you've got Brenny, you've got Hudson Clark at safety, who I like at safety. I know fans freak out when I mention I like Hudson. Safety, I do. Cornerback, not so much, because I don't think he's got the burning speed. But but his intelligence and the way he reads the quarterback's eyes and stuff, that kid's a heck of a safety. You and I talked about that before they even made the move, Ty.
Yeah.
That he was a safety because he's back a little bit further and he's got a chance to read the play. And when he can read the play, we saw what happened against Ole Miss in 2020. Yeah, 2020, 3 interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, Hudson Clark. A lot of questions about the secondary too, by the way. And that's actually was going to be another question was, how do you think that rotation looks, or what does it look like to you this week? And I know Dwight McLaughlin and
Malik.
Was it Chavis was lining up with the ones, I think, on fastball on Tuesday.
Should be Malik and McLaughlin at corner. You would have Simeon Blair in there. I know people roll their eyes, but I'm just telling you who they're going to play. I'm not telling you who I would play, but Simeon Blair, probably Hudson Clark, and Miles Slusher would be. Yeah. I figure that's going to be Slusher at nickel. Should be Hudson Clark and Simeon Blair probably at safety, and then McLaughlin and Chavis at the corners, and of course Latavius Brenny, Jaden Johnson, Kari Johnson, and those guys. I think that's some of the guys. And then cornerback. John Parker may have. I mean, they talk about him all the time, and then they never play him. But he finally had.
I know.
Yeah, they talk about him nonstop, and then when he gets in there, he seems to do pretty well. I know Sam likes him. So, but maybe he's played himself into. Hey, McAdoo might see a little action in the corner. I think McAdoo can, and I know we talked about this earlier, and I'm not going to be long on time, but I just think he can help him. I mean, he's going to make some mistakes. He's a true freshman who's only been there maybe 3 weeks. It's secondary, 2 weeks, whatever it's been. But I think he can help them. He's athletic. He's pretty good size. And he's got the knowledge because he played defensive back in high school. Yeah. When you haven't played it for 4 years, I don't know how quick you can adjust to that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And that kind of goes back
he's got some natural instincts that can help him back there because he's done it in high school and he was successful in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of goes back to Samuel Bakke a little bit. You know, this kid that was a former 4-star until about a week before he committed to Arkansas at wide receiver, hadn't played on the defensive side of the ball since 10th or 9th grade, whatever it was. And I kind of wish that they're going to make these moves. A part of me, it's like, and I know this is Captain Hindsight moment here, but it would have been nice to see these kind of moves in the fall, you know, when these.
Well, but I think you owed it to McAdoo and Bakke, though, to let them try out receiver and stuff, because that's what you were recruited for. So
which they're going to do. They're going to let them go back if they want.
But I don't think they anticipated though Catalon and Bishop and those guys getting hurt again. I mean,
and I hear that, and I had this conversation with someone else. Catalon, we know, is injury prone, right? Yeah. Slusher's injury prone. These two guys have not played an entire full season except for Catalon in 2020. You're thin, and you've got freshmen up and down the board. At least with McAdoo, I'll say I get the Bakke, I get it. But with McAdoo, this is a guy, again, recruited out of high school. Several schools offered him to play corner. You were actually the one that told me that.
Well, he's like Micah Tease. I mean, Micah is going to play receiver at Arkansas, but he's just as good at corner as he is at receiver.
Right.
I'm telling you, I saw him play corner over here at Bentonville West right before I got really sick, and I've seen him before. But Micah, I mean, their schools recruited Micah for defense too. Yeah. Right? I mean, those kids can play. Those kids are athletes. But what I like about them is they played secondary. It's not like, well, they were good here. I think they can help us on special. In the secondary, they actually have. You get instincts by playing defensive back. You develop instincts through the years at high school. Look, we know the receivers are going to go against an SEC, or it's not like the ones that went against Clarendon. I fully get that. I have people say, well, it's not Clarendon anymore. Nobody's saying it is, but his skills have improved too with you coaching, position coaching and stuff. Quincy, I mean, I just think McAdoo is someone that can really help him. I really do. And I think eventually he can help him at receiver. I think he was one of my favorite recruits. I thought he was a stud. Both ways.
Him and Tease are kind of, and I'm not trying to compare them, but it reminds me of the Joe Adams situation out of high school. Joe Adams was committed to USC to play corner. People forget about that. He was committed to play DB, even though he was a 4-star athlete out of high school. And I remember reading your articles and everyone else's, this kid could play either side of the ball. He commits here with Petrino to come play wide receiver. And of course, the rest is history. And his infamous punt return might be the greatest punt return ever against Tennessee.
That was a thing of beauty. I saw Joe play over at UAPB when he was in high school. I forget who they played. Warren played that night. There was a doubleheader at UAPB, and Warren was one of them. That's when they had all those receivers. And the other game was Joe Adams' school playing there. And so I watched both games in Pine Bluff that night. And I'm telling you, man, I mean, Joe Adams he was there again. He was just as good on defense as he was on offense. He reminded me of Micah. He reminded me of Quincy. He reminded me of Darren McFadden. People don't understand that Darren McFadden could have been a safety, a cornerback, a linebacker, a quarterback, a wide receiver, running back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know.
Great safety.
Oh, he was a stud, man. But he was a dang good quarterback. I'm telling you, man. Darren McFadden. I mean, these guys like these that we're talking about, the Micah Teases, the Worrell Quincy's, McFadden's, Joe Adams, they can play both sides of the ball, man. I mean, but you're a fool. I know there was a reporter I worked with at the time kept writing he wanted to move McFadden to safety. When you've got a Heisman Trophy winning running back, you don't move him to safety.
Yeah.
You don't do it.
Another guy, and I hate to keep barking on this, but another guy that could have played on the defensive side of the ball. And I talked to Barry Grooms at Hootens.com like 2 years ago about Treylon Burks. No, it was when Treylon Burks committed, said he's probably one of the best linebackers he ever saw play. Think about that. Wide receiver, first round draft pick wide receiver, and he was one of the. And Barry Grooms has been doing this with high school for decades.
Well, I went to their Hootens.com preseason kickoff. Warren played there again. They played a school out of Eastern Arkansas that day, maybe a Batesville school, one of the schools over in Batesville area. But I saw him play, and yeah, I mean, I saw Treylon other times, but I mean, he played a lot of linebacker that day, and yeah, he played a little quarterback. He played a little bit of everything. There again, when you get freaks like that, and all those kids we're talking about are pretty much freaks. I mean, they're great athletes. In their size of their school, they have to play both ways, and they can do it. It's not.
They don't have that quality depth.
Exactly. They develop it through them. I mean, they've got, the only, like I said a lot of times about some of these guys like Darren McFadden, Micah, and some of these kids, the only weakness, they don't have a twin just as talented as they are. That's their weakness, man. Because then you could put McFadden at safety, McFadden at running back, or a tease at corner, or a tease at receiver, McAdoo receiver or corner. So, but no, I mean, I'm getting silly now, but I just know that there's some talented players, and you don't have, just because they're locked in at one position doesn't mean they couldn't play another. And which I like that move of McAdoo. I really I scratched my head when they moved Sam over there. That why didn't they move Quincy? Because I saw him, and I didn't see Sam in high school, but in live action, but I did see Quincy, and I thought he was committed to Florida State early. We were talking about kids committed early.
I've been saying that for years. That's my saying. I've been telling the Pig Trail Network or Tuss Talk community, I'm going to make shirts or bumper stickers that say quality depth matters, because that's something Arkansas has struggled to do on both sides of the ball, get quality depth. That's why I asked Sam specifically if he was going to go through the portal and really hit it hard on defense to help build up that depth, because we're talking about, if you're talking about quality depth, you're talking about when a Catalan goes down, you've got a kid that comes in, and obviously he's not as good as Catalan, but he's pretty close. And or when a bumper pool's banged up, you got somebody to go in there. So that's why I'm saying, I asked him specifically, are you going to hit the portal hard, for defensive depth purposes, and he said, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that was on my mind too, because it's not, to me, not necessarily, well, let's get, starters, say, let's go get starters. It's like, go get great players, very quality. I mean, Landon Jackson, Jordan Dominic weren't guaranteed to start when they got here. But, man, when Zach Williams and Jashad Stewart went off the field, there wasn't a drop-off. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Ty, about recruiting out of the portal. Even if Dominic and Landon Jackson, Jashad got hurt, Landon came in there and started. But I'm just saying, even if they didn't, when they left the game and those two came in, there was no drop-off. And that's what I'm getting at all positions on defense. There's a drop-off. If Dwight McLaughlin goes out of the game, there's a drop-off. When Malik went out at BYU, there was a drop-off. You can't do that. That's why I'm saying recruit quality depth all the way down, man. Even if these guys don't start, they're going to rotate. And I think that's important, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Final thoughts on this Arkansas-Auburn game. What we've went over quite a bit of it. I was looking at their run stats. I knew they were bad. They're giving up 201 yards a game on the ground. But
Mississippi ran it up and down on them, and Ole Miss's run defense is not good either. But and neither is Arkansas. But
to be fair, though, up until the Alabama game, Arkansas's run defense was like 15th in the country.
Yeah, I mean it has. But I think a lot of that, though, Ty, it was kind of because they were so many teams. It was just so easy to pass on them. Mississippi State really exposed. To me, Mississippi State's the team that really exposed them in the run defense.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I get it. But stats can be misleading since I think teams were passing on so easy that they weren't going to run. But with that said, I think Arkansas will try to keep a balanced offense, but they will lean heavily on the run. And if they don't put the ball, I think Arkansas wins this game. I think they're going to have to. They don't have to. But I think they really need to, and I think they will. Yeah. But I think they've got to run the ball, and Rockets got to quit putting the ball on the ground. Rashad can't put it on the ground. AJ, I don't think AJ has, but he can't put it. I mean, they can't. KJ can't fumble. AJ, they don't need to turn the ball over and play well, and just. I think if you can take Auburn out of the game early, I think that's important. They're mad down there. They're ticked off. They want Hudson gone. It's kind of like when Chad Morris was here. I mean, Hudson's better coach than Chad was. Arkansas was never 1-3 in the SEC.
That I agree with. I do. That's not a popular opinion
a much
around
better
here,
coach
than
Chad Morris. I mean, what he
Chad.
did at Boise State proved that. But I'm just saying, I think he's getting a bad deal down there. I'm not saying I never thought he was a great fit for Auburn anyway. But I think Hudson, I think the key is go down there, take Auburn out of it early. The crowd will not get, if you let them hang around, the crowd's going to get into the game and they're going to start cheering and it's going to get loud. If you go down there and you dominate the first quarter in the first half, then you can take that crowd out of it. I think Arkansas took the crowd. Once the BYU coach went for that 4th down and 1 deep in his own territory, that just zapped the air out of the crowd out there at BYU, and Arkansas tucked the ball over. There was a bad fumble, quarterback exchange with the center. Arkansas got the ball, went down and scored. Then Arkansas's KJ got out of that deal, and he went down there and found Trey Knox, who went to the 22-yard line. I think that's what you got to do again. Arkansas went in 31-21 against BYU at half. I think that's what they've got to do against Auburn, take control of the game early. If they do that, then I think Arkansas can win. And I think, one thing I will say about Auburn, all 4 losses are against ranked teams. So they haven't just lost.
That's true.
I agree with you, Mike. But, they've lost to 4 ranked teams. So it's not like they're just losing to anybody. But then again, they should have lost to Missouri. I mean, Missouri, they lost. That kid.
Was that at Missouri or was that in Auburn?
No, I believe that was at Auburn, Ty.
It was, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they won.
I don't know. I was on my. I just walked into AT&T Stadium, and I looked up and I saw that kicker miss that field goal, and that kid, honestly, may be the best kicker in college football, and he missed that chip shot field goal. That kid has been money. I mean, he never missed against Arkansas. He's one of the best kickers I've seen in the SEC. And he missed that field goal. So they were living a charmed life that day, Auburn was. You give that kid that kick 100 times, he'll make it 99 times. The one time he didn't was when he needed to. But he will make that kick 99 times out of 100.
So ESPN earlier today, they released their and this is it has to do with Auburn, but it also has to do with a certain player. They released their top transfer list, their top players that have transferred and so on and so forth. They have Drew Sanders is ranked at 8th overall, and this is, I don't know how many players are on this list. It looks like they go to maybe to 50, but Drew Sanders is in the top 10. Dwight McLaughlin is number 28. So for people and Jordan Dominic is 22. I mean, I'm just now looking at this list. For people who are like, Arkansas didn't do a good job in the portal, I don't think you were really paying attention.
I did a very good job in portal. I remember when ESPN ran their top 50 preseason, they didn't have Drew Sanders or anybody from Arkansas on there. I said, you're making a mistake, people. You're going to regret not. I tweeted to him. I said, you're making a mistake not putting Drew Sanders on. You're going to regret that one, buddy. And I'm telling you, Jaden Hazelwood should be on there. I mean, Landon Jackson could be on there. I mean, Arkansas did a very good job.
He might be. I was skimming down this list. I honestly didn't even see this until just now.
There wasn't any Arkansas player. Drew Sanders, and I looked at it, and I'm talking about the preseason time, not the one you're talking about. I haven't looked, and they didn't have any of the recruits on. And the one guy that stood out to me was Drew Sanders, and I tweeted to ESPN. I said, "You're going to regret this one." And obviously they have. Well, I don't know if they regret it, but they made a mistake. You said they got him number 8.
Number 8, yeah, they got him in the top 10. Mel Kiper had him as the top 15 pick. Just a few weeks ago.
Mel Kiper had him the number 1 inside linebacker in the draft. At one point. I don't know if he still does, but he did at one point, not long ago. I think going to this 3-man front is cut down on Drew Sanders' stats, but he's still the same player. I think they've just got to that's why I said he's going to be a big key to if they beat Auburn, because he can get to that quarterback Saturday, Ty. He and Dominic and Landon, they can get to that quarterback. Barry's got to come up with a scheme. No matter what he runs, but he's got to come up with a scheme to get pressure on that quarterback. They cannot repeat the Mississippi State disaster.
Yeah, so they've had like, I think it's 3 tackles for loss in the last 3 games combined. I think 1 sack.
Yeah.
I think he's got to play a really big role. And I was going to ask you kind of already answered it, but Drew Sanders, I think he needs to have a pretty dynamite weekend, and this is an opportunity for him to do that, because I do think we're going to see more multiple looks up front. Although I've said that before, they stuck with a 3-man.
Well,
front.
They've got to.
They've got to. Yeah, Auburn. I mean, they're effective.
The line is beat up, Ty. They can't block, and there's no reason Arkansas can't get to Ashford Saturday. There's no reason. Other than
he can move. Ashford can move. He can run pretty well, and he
second leading rusher.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him quite a bit. He's pretty he could be a pretty dynamic runner, and that's the thing that kind of worries me a little bit. But I think a real big key this weekend, it's got to be whoever's going to spy or whoever's going to try and contain Ashford. But Drew Sanders, make no mistake about it, he'll be. I think they're gonna let him. I don't know. I feel like they're going to let him off the leash and let him go after him a little bit, see if they can't match speed for speed.
Dominic and Jackson, those guys too. I think you've got to come after him, but I really like the fact that Drew Sanders can line. You got to lose him. You got to use him a lot like Dallas uses Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons lines up different places. Dallas moves him around, Ty, where you don't know where he's going to be if you're the offense. And I think that's what Arkansas has got to do. I don't sit and watch all the Dallas games. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I'm just saying I respect Micah Parsons, respect the heck out of him. And I've watched a lot of their games are on TV here. And so I've watched him a lot. And they disguise where he – and that's what I talked about earlier was disguising you don't have to blitz every down, but you got to disguise your pressure. And that's what I was talking about. Bring Drew from different places. Keep them guessing. And maybe sometimes it looks like he's coming and he doesn't. But you've got to disguise all that stuff and put pressure on them. But you cannot sit back and let him have the field all day like they did Mississippi State. That's just not going to.
You don't have to answer. You're putting our picks up tomorrow, right? The Hogville pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can let everyone read. They can read. That's free. Hogville.net. We'll have our picks. Last I saw, Kevin was still in the lead, and I was a game behind.
Yeah, Kevin. I had a disastrous week before last. I haven't looked at the results this week. I haven't done the tabulations yet because I got pretty late yet, or in the afternoon yesterday. I got two of the pickers in. But I know Dudley had a lot of issues with his house Tuesday, I guess it was. Yeah. And then Kevin's always right at the end getting them in. So, but I appreciate everybody doing them, but
yeah. So tomorrow, you guys will be able to see that. You'll see our picks.
Well,
we've got the basketball guys on top. I think still. Again, we haven't looked at the total, but he was last week, so we got to take him. We got to take that spot. One of us who cover football, or at least one of you writers or me. I know. I do a little bit of everything. But
there was a 4-way tie though at first, until that weekend before last, and I went. I think there were 6 games, and I think I went 2-4. I mean, that was when Arkansas beat BYU. I didn't have that. I had that stupid Florida beating LSU, which I didn't know why I did that. That's just like I picked A&M to beat South Carolina, and I knew they wouldn't. And I put in there, I'm tempted to pick South Carolina, and I went ahead and picked A&M. I know I missed. I think that's the only one I missed, maybe. But it's just, I kicked myself for that Florida LSU pick.
Yeah, there wasn't. Yeah. Well, and I've missed a couple too that I'm just looking back on, like, what was I thinking? But that's part of it. That's the part of pick'ems. So
it's you guys we're having fun with it.
Oh
there's no prize or anything.
You guys make sure you go on over to hogville.net. You can read that. That will be available for you tomorrow. But Dudley Dawson, Otis Kirk, Kevin McPherson. They've got you covered over there for free. And make sure you guys like and share and subscribe. Make sure you like that. Hit the like button. Slap it around a little bit. Do a diamond cutter on that thing. Let's get the likes and the interactions up and share, of course. All right. Otis, appreciate your time, sir. I will see you on the postgame show on Saturday.
You bet, man. We'll talk to you then. See you.
All righty.
Have a great day, Ty.
You too. Oh, crap. He beat me to it again. Uh-oh. I can't go out like that. There we go. We'll get rid of that. Really quick update for you guys who are Tuss Talk with Ty subscribers. I will be live tomorrow. So just FYI, I will be live tomorrow on Tuss Talk with Ty. I don't know the actual time. It will probably be 11 o'clock, more than likely, but it could possibly get, could be pushed back. It's my youngest daughter's birthday. Adeline will be 8 years old tomorrow, so I know we've got plans. So I'm gonna have to make it an AM stream or a early afternoon stream to get that to you guys, and then we'll have the post game on the obviously after the Auburn game, which kickoff is at 11 o'clock. I have an announcement for everyone on Tuss Talk with Ty Discord. Tonight, there will be an event. It's going to be very important. It's concerning post-game on Tuss Talk with Ty. You guys know I haven't been making Tuss Talk with Ty post-game shows. This has been the primary focus, but we've got an update on some stuff. So if you're in our Discord, especially if you're a Patreon member, you're going to want to be a part of this meetup tonight. Okay. All right. I will either talk to you tonight or tomorrow or Saturday. Plenty of Ty to go around. I'm busy from here on out. I'll see you guys around.